Hi guys!
Hi.
We are back up and running, and welcome to another episode of Friday with Friends.
Yes.
Guys, that was really good.
There we go.
That was really good. Okay, so welcome to Friday with Friends. Happy Friday. As you guys know, Friday with Friends, normally Mandy's here. But she is missing, so I brought my two friends, David and Heather, in to chat a little bit about what is a real estate attorney. So as you guys know, Friday with Friends is our opportunity to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the market and really educate you on the whole process. So when you have anybody or you are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you think of us. So let's get into it. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
We're ready to go. I'm Dave Dollinger, a real estate attorney.
And I'm Heather DiGiulio. I am a paralegal with David Dollinger.
Yes.
And
We call them the dream team. We call them the dream team.
There we go.
So I think a big question that a lot of people have is like, why do you need a real estate attorney? I know we do a lot of business with other agents out of state and things like that, and they're like, we don't have an attorney, why do you? Or vice versa.
Well, the process is the same.
Okay.
The process is the same pretty much in every state. I mean, you need to do it's generally the same function in every state. But in New York, the attorneys perform a fundamental function, which is really twofold. One is we're familiar with the practice, okay? They call it a real estate practice. It's not, real estate law is a lot part of it, but it's also a practice. It's kind of like the bar gets together and says, this is how we're going to do things, this is what's acceptable, and this is what's not acceptable. So it's a practice, and we know the practice, and your average viewer out there who's buying a house doesn't.
Right.
You don't have to be a genius to be a real estate lawyer, but you got to know the practice, and you don't know it, and we do.
Exactly.
So that's it.
Heather and I were chatting before today, and I was like, well, I did a list of questions because honestly, I don't know the answers to them, and that's why we have people like you guys.
Right.
So in other states, do the agents take that on, or is there like a title company?
Well, in different states, different processes, of course, but yes, in many states, the real estate agent actually gets the numbers from the bank.
Oh, okay.
And relays the numbers of how much the money the client has to bring to the client. That's one of the functions that we perform.
Okay, but
we do the tax prorations, we take the bank's figures, we put it together with the other figures, and then we call the client and say, hey, this is how much money you have to bring today.
Gotcha. I mean, I'm good at math, but I like trusting you with that.
Well, it's funny because it's the first question we ask every new employee. Are you good with math?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because, we don't want them handling the money unless they're good with math.
That's a good interview question. I like that. Oh, Christina said, hey. Hi, guys. All right, cool. And then how about another question that I always get, because we say, okay, you need to have an attorney. What are the costs that go along with that?
Okay, so I'm going to pop in here.
Okay.
So the typical cost for an attorney, depending on the purchase or the sale, whatever, it ranges probably from like $500 to $700, all said and done. I think some attorneys have their attorney fee that's a certain rate, and then they'll have courier fees and title review fees and title cure fees, but I think all said and done, it's between $500 and $700.
Gotcha.
Correct. It should be in there,
Yeah.
And
that's what I hear most of the time.
And there's no reason not to ask the attorney when you call them, how much is your fee?
And are there additional fees on
how
top
do
of
you
just
add
the
on to
attorney?
it?
I think that's a good question. I do. I think that's a good question to ask.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
Just so you know really at the end what you're...
Yeah, for sure. And that goes into, we're getting kind of off topic, but that goes into like when a loan officer runs your numbers, right? I think they put that in there too. So it's not like a sticker shock by any means.
They typically add it.
They're educated on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Oh, and we got Bridget too.
Hi, Bridget!
Hi, everyone. Hey, Nick. I saw Jason up there. Hey, Tyler. We had a great turnout, guys.
Awesome.
So fun. Okay, cool. So thanks, everybody, for watching. So we're here with David and Heather chatting a little bit about what a real estate attorney is and what they do. So we've already covered really their role, their costs, their fees. How about what's really, would you see the main difference between like a realtor's job and an attorney's job? If you had...
Well, the interesting thing is that when I talk to people about this, which I do, when I speak to them, they call me to do the approval. I kind of go through the process a little bit. The contracts are, as you know, are contingent on the attorney's approval. and we want to speak with the client before we go through that. And I tell them that typically in the whole transaction, there's numerous parties. You got your loan officer, you have your buyer's realtor, you have the seller's realtor, you have the client, you have the seller's attorney. It's like the
bank attorney.
You've got a whole bunch of people. And what we try to do, and what our job, one of the two things we see as our job, is the ability to orchestrate all those people. And I say our job is what we at Dollinger Associates try to have our job be, is we want to move all those people to get them doing what they're supposed to do at the time that they're supposed to do it.
Right.
So
keep everyone
and
on
that's
track.
kind of our job.
And keep the lines of communication open,
Yeah.
The CC.
Right. You as the buyer's agent typically are not going to call the seller's attorney.
Right.
Well, we can call the seller's attorney. We can call the buyer's agent seller's. We typically can contact everybody in the transaction.
Yep.
Just to make sure that everybody's moving along, because those milestones are important. Is this done today? This has got to be done tomorrow. If you want to close 2 weeks from now, this has got to be done today, and we will confirm with all the parties that that's right. So that's a lot of what we do. That's our
keeping
job.
Everyone on track.
Right, and we kind of orchestrate the people involved in the transaction. That's a lot of what we do. The other side of it is, of course, the legal side of what we do, which is, I always summarize that by basically saying, what you want to buy, you want to be able to sell. So we make sure that
David.
the legal
Good one.
I mean, to summarize it up, that's what what you want is that it's, according to the practice, title's okay, survey's okay, all that stuff.
Yeah, because there's definitely a lot that goes into it, and you want to make sure that when they go to sell, something wasn't missed on the buy side.
Exactly.
Right,
so
and that level of at the closing explaining the documents, really what they're going to, making sure they understand what they sign or they're going to be signing in terms of their mortgage, if there is a mortgage.
Gotcha.
Well, literally at the approval, I tell them that, like on a purchase, and it's important probably to, when we talk about this, to break it down into purchases and sales.
Right.
They are different. And what we do is different, and the responsibilities of everybody involved is slightly different.
Sure.
But even on a purchase, I tell them that, we're pretty much going to do everything for you.
Yeah.
Bring a check, get a mortgage, and we'll do everything else for you.
Whatever your loan officer says, do.
And we'll take the rest.
But other than that, we like to try to think of it as we will orchestrate everything and make sure it all is moving along. That's our goal.
Yeah. And that's, our goal too with our team is to make sure that we're kind of dividing and conquering and saying, okay, we Heather and David's got this, we're going to stay on top of this, and that's when, everything can move as smooth as it does. Okay, so I know you mentioned some of those milestones. Hey everybody, hey Lynn, hi Hank, hey Shannon. Thanks for tuning in. So you mentioned some of those important milestones. So let's say, an offer gets accepted, whether you're the buyer or the seller, what's like the first interaction that you would have with the client?
Well, in both instances, whether it is a buyer or a sale contract or a purchase contract, we typically will contact them because the contracts are typically subject to our attorney approval. So we contact the client on every single approval.
Yeah.
It's really essential. And the approval really is two aspects of the approval. The first one is, does the client, is what's on that piece of paper what the client thinks the deal is? Price, closing date, mortgage commitment date, are all those things really what the client thinks
and what they want?
It is. And then the second level of our approval analysis is, do they understand it? I mean, because sometimes once in a great while you get one where you're kind of like, wait a minute, this lady
really want to sell your house?
Right, this lady already owns a house.
Oh my gosh.
She's not selling it, but I think she's going to have to. I mean, sometimes you get where they don't quite understand the process. And you really want to help them make sure you do.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And that's where, we're the ones that are writing and executing the contract, but at the end of the day, we're not legal counsel.
Yeah.
So the attorney approval period, which is really the first contingency, is the contract is not considered quote-unquote binding until it's reviewed by a legal counsel, aka your attorney, and that happens both with the buyer and the seller.
Right, yes.
Good rundown?
Yes.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, same time.
So then what would be the next step, once, let's say we get through the inspection, we are moving right through the transaction. What's your next milestone?
Really the mortgage commitment.
Okay.
On a purchase.
Yeah. Oh, well, either on the purchase.
Yeah, but on a sale.
On a sale, you got to get the documents ordered. So
most
of the time, if you're working with a real estate attorney, which your client should be working
with a real estate
which
attorney.
They will order the documents right away. As soon as the contract is approved by the attorneys, they'll get those documents ordered right away because that's important on the sale. But on the purchase, the next milestone really is that commitment.
Right.
That mortgage commitment.
So what are those documents? Is that like the title, abstract?
The commitment is with more with the bank. They need to work with the loan officer getting that. And that commitment typically drives and finalizes the title insurance, which is the abstract, the survey, the review of the title documents.
Yeah, the documents really break into the abstract and the survey.
Yeah.
And the title.
Oh yeah, let's see that.
I totally brought it.
Right.
So they're really prepared. It was like, bring, what is that?
Abstract.
This is an abstract.
This is an abstract. They're typically 8.5 by 14.
That looks old, guys.
Okay. Yeah. And what an abstract is a chronological history of the property.
They can't really see it.
And this abstract, okay, I'll look up while I'm looking. This abstract is wonderful because you probably can't see this, but it's actually, the original pages are handwritten.
Wow.
Right.
And written like that. And
People don't do cursive like that anymore.
No.
This is a deed that was recorded December 12th, 1848. So this title, we picked this one particularly.
Thank you. I like it. Super
cool. It
cool.
goes all the way back from 1848, and this is a deed from like James Beatty out in Beatty Beach. So
Neat.
this is, these, you can actually find the old families back in the old abstracts, the
Cool.
old families that had a farm out on, Lake Road and stuff. It's great.
So the abstract is basically a list of everyone, long list of everyone that's ever owned or purchased.
Yeah, I say it
Correct.
contains the history of the property, any liens, any deed transfers of the property.
Right, so the seller, again, this is what we order right away on the seller's side. And then here's the survey, which we also order immediately upon opening the file. This is a map of what's on the property. Very, very detailed. Very detailed. It goes down to 1/10 of a foot. So, if a fence is off, it can be off by 1/10 of a foot. And it's very accurate. And that lets us know that nobody else is on our property and that all the improvements, the house and the barn. And
there's a pool, there's a fence.
It's all on our property, so what we're buying is actually on our property and we're going to own it.
Yeah, because if I buy a pool, I want it on my property.
Right, you'd be surprised.
I would be so upset to buy a pool and then it's not on my property.
This can't get in on this side of the pool, okay? It's right on the boundary line.
Put your ladder on this side,
So those are the two documents that we order on the sales side.
Got it. That makes sense. And I know with surveys, how often do you see that there's like a discrepancy? Is that something?
Well, quite frequently, unfortunately, the degree, what happened is that when the secondary mortgage market came along, they all of a sudden started demanding real surveys.
Oh, okay.
They used to be with tape maps. So the guy would go out, he'd just get out his tape and, 10 feet,
This works.
Yeah, this looks good to me.
Yeah.
But now when they started doing actual surveys, the accuracy is so incredibly tight.
Right.
That all of a sudden, all these fences are now not quite on the property line.
So you see it, what, 50% of the time?
70?
Okay.
More than that.
Wow. Okay.
No, I would go
A
up a little
lot.
more than that.
And that's something, so you guys know how to handle that
We
most
do.
of the time. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy issue and you're
No,
able to
it's
handle it.
infrequently there's a serious problem with it. Most of the time it's an objection, but we just have to deal with it.
You have to deal with it or get a neighbor's signature or
Yeah,
something
out
like
an
that.
indictment,
Right, yeah, you've seen that movie.
I have.
Yeah.
Once or twice.
It's not a good movie. Sometimes
Not a
it's
good movie.
Yes,
Sometimes
yes.
it's a horror
That's
show.
important.
It's a movie. Okay.
All right, cool. So that's the survey, the abstract. How about like a title? I've heard title documents. What is that?
Those are the title documents. I mean, the fact is that
Check.
Yeah, check. But also, title is like a concept. It's not a thing.
Right.
You
told me
don't
this
have
before.
a title.
It's not like a car.
It's not a car. You don't have a title. Title just represents ownership. You have something that proves your ownership. We kind of call that, hey, did you get your title yet? But when we say that, we mean the abstract and the survey.
Got it. That's a fancy name for both.
Yeah, and then there's a review of that, and they kind of put everything all together on another report, which is the title report, and that's what the lenders want to see and the attorneys want to see.
That's the insurance.
The
portion.
title insurance.
So we review this abstract and survey, and we put in a report that says it looks good, except for, hey, there's a mortgage on there. The seller has a mortgage.
But they'll have to pay off.
The seller went bankrupt 10 years ago. Whatever that is, we raise all those objections in our title report.
Hi, Danny.
Oh, I miss you.
And then that goes over to the buyers.
Sorry. We get really excited.
It's part of Facebook Live.
It's live, David.
Okay.
He's a millennial. He's trying.
I know. I'm trying it. Before I was like, what are we doing here? I'm looking into a phone and
I dragged them here.
Yeah, so then it goes to the buyer's attorney, to the seller's attorney with your objections, and they have to fix them.
Right. So at any given time, it's the title documents, so the abstract and the survey are being seen by tons of eyes to make sure.
All trying to move towards the process of that closing date.
Of course.
That closing date on the contract drives, at Dollinger Associates, it drives the bus.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
are living and breathing by trying to make it close on that sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important. A lot of people, maybe agents or attorneys say, oh gosh, we're 4 weeks away, 5 weeks away, and it might seem like a long time, but with all of these things, you've got to make sure
we
that
know
you're
this
hitting.
needs to be done today to close 4 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's important.
And that's like a lot of what
absolutely.
we're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
So once we have the title documents done, what are kind of the next steps? We have mortgage commitment, docs are in, all of that. What happens next?
At that point, we really try to coordinate the closing date. We work with the
Exactly.
seller's attorney or the opposing attorney to make sure that they're on target for the closing date. We're on target. We try to figure out moving plans. If say we're buying a property, if that seller has to purchase a property, so that things need to line up. That's when we really start to try to coordinate these dates and these
Right, and as you know, because you guys are so good at this, the Friends team is so good at it, this is where the high level of communication between the attorney and this is where, I may have only talked to you, us, Dollingers, we only talked to you a couple times in the transaction until we're 2 weeks away.
And then we're saying...
And then we have to figure out, where is the seller going? Is the seller going to be out? When's the seller going to be out? Does the seller
Actually, that's really where Heidi's so good.
Yeah.
Heidi's all over these.
Our transaction coordinator.
Yeah. Amazing.
Exactly.
Making sure, are we sure we're on target? Is anything going on? Anything I need to know about? That.
And sometimes there's, 4 houses that the buyer of this is buying this, and then
we
that
call it
seller...
the domino effect.
The domino effect. So it's not just, you're moving out on the 8th, I'll move in on the 9th. It's all of these dates.
Especially in the summer.
Yep.
Especially towards the end of the month in the summer, it is really important that we strive mightily to try to get as best information as we can of all these parties in these sequential transactions, because they can be brutal.
Yeah.
And that's where we start really
huge communication.
Yeah.
And so you guys, is there anything else that needs to be done prior to I'm at the closing table and signing my documents?
We do
the closing, disclosure.
The final closing figures.
Yeah.
So once we actually have that scheduled and we figured out everything in terms of, the closing date and the time and the location, we coordinate that with all the attorneys, the opposing attorney, the bank attorney, and get back with the client and confirm the closing. Then the bank attorney generates the final closing figure.
Okay.
And before that, I should say that
We kind of really do
the 2 attorneys work out the adjustments for the taxes.
For the taxes,
yeah,
right.
And any credits, deposits, seller's concessions, anything like that. We work out between the attorneys. We send it over to the bank attorney. The bank attorney sends us the figures. We do up everything and give it to the client.
Got it. So you're really getting all of the information and putting it into what we call the closing disclosure. For the buyer.
Yes.
For the buyer.
Kind of
for the buy
all
side.
that and put it together,
And put it together and give it to the client.
Okay. And if you're a seller at this point, is there anything, or are you just pretty much waiting?
The sale, what we do along the way is we kind of get it ready along the way, and then the seller really generates the adjustments. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Typically.
It's the seller's responsibility to say to the buyer.
Preliminary, at least.
Here's what I think the adjustments are. So the seller's attorney is really in charge of that, and they get that done. So it's the same thing on the opposite end, just getting all the expenses together that the seller pays and make sure they're on the closing statement.
But when we represent the seller, we have them come in about a week or 10 days before.
Right.
They don't have to attend the closing.
That's a question I get all the time.
Yeah, we have them sign up the documents. We get a deposit slip from them. Fortunately, where we're located there in Brighton, every bank but one is within a block of us.
Yeah.
So we actually take a deposit slip and deposit their sale money as part of our process.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. They don't
we have them bring us the keys. We have them do all that.
Right.
So we get everything together so that when we're ready, when the buyer's ready to schedule, we're ready.
We're ready.
Right.
Yeah.
And
everything's done. We're ready to go.
Gotcha. And so, a lot of my sellers ask that question. They're like, well, Abby, what are we, I'm living out of state. I don't live in the house anymore. I'm on the, opposite coast, whatever it might be. Do I need to be present for closing? And the answer is, as long as you can sign documents
prior to,
Right.
We can email them or FedEx.
Yeah, those travel ones, we email them a lot and say, we have a whole thing of go to the bank, tell them, we have a whole process to do it.
Okay.
We send them a UPS cover sheet that a UPS sent back.
Return label.
Yeah, return label.
I'm not very good with mailing things. I had to get a stamp, and I went into the post office. I was like, I need a stamp. He's like, here you go. I'm like, oh, is that easy? I don't know.
Did you bring out a penny?
I don't know how to do anything. No, I had a credit card. I was like, $2. Yeah. I bought like 4, so I was like,
you got that little roll or something.
I know. He's like, do you want more than 4? I was like, no. Oh, I'm embarrassing. Okay, awesome. And then you will attend closing, correct?
Yeah, we attend the closing on the seller's behalf. So the seller doesn't go to the closing. Somebody from our office will go.
And on purchases, we have attorneys. We have attorneys through all our buying and closings. Yeah.
It's kind of like a full house at closing because you have 3 attorneys. You have the buyer, seller, and bank.
Correct.
Yes,
and of course the buyer.
And the buyers,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Sometimes we charge tickets.
I remember my closing, it's like my dad, everybody. It's a party.
Yours is one-on-one when I charging tickets.
It's a party.
Yeah.
Anything else in regards to like the beginning to end that you guys want to?
The process. Let me think. Yeah, I think the only thing that else I would say is, it is really important to, if you have questions about it, to call. Don't let it, it's like everything else in life, don't let it fester. You got a question, you're uncomfortable. A lot of our job, I tell them this at the approval too, is we're just going to hold your hand. I mean, we're here to just answer questions so you stay calm. You stay calm. We don't want people to get all wired up.
He doesn't let me leave my desk for those reasons.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, I call
he doesn't put me in appointments, and I'm there for those
reasons. We just need to answer everyone's questions. They just call us and we're going to be there for them.
Yeah.
So that's key.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And so now, a lot of clients, they might not even know they need a real estate attorney until their house is already on the market or they've already bought, which that's normal, to kind of get an attorney once you're under contract already.
Right.
And that happens pretty quickly. We find that when you're choosing a real estate attorney, it's always a good idea just to find out what's important to you and pick an attorney that matches that. So for us, I know with a lot of our clients, communication is huge, and that's, attorneys, everyone, just like us, everyone does business differently, but, communication is huge.
Yeah, we find, too, that the email, I don't know but the email communication has gone up a lot, in the last 5 years.
Right.
It really is, everybody kind of wants it. They really don't want us to call them on their cell phone. We get their cell phone in the contract. They would really prefer to get a lot of these updates and things by email.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, this is what happened today.
Right.
And so we have set up a process, really, just for our communications a lot by email now.
Yeah, you guys have that thing where you click in an email.
Yeah. A lot by email communication, always available.
A lot of times, we always joke that people say, you can call me, but I won't answer. Just leave a voicemail. That's fine.
I also find that a lot of people are just so busy that having that email to reference something, to go back and reference, yes, this happened, this is the next step.
We're good to go.
They have something hard to
But it's not like we don't want to talk to people. We just find they're more...
our clients.
Our clients. And they just like to hear it by email.
Hey, Les.
Oh, I can say it out loud. Last time I interrupted, David yelled at me, so I'm just gonna.
It's Leslie.
Oh.
Yeah, she left us today.
Leslie.
Good afternoon.
So formal.
Yeah. So, and then I know that we had pointed out, when you're choosing a real estate attorney, it's important to make sure you strongly consider a attorney that is a real estate attorney specifically.
Yeah. When you're meeting with your clients and talking about the attorneys, it is important to pick.
It's essential.
Yeah.
As I've become more and more convinced over the last, and I'm not trying to cut people out of this, but honestly, for your own happiness and success, you need to pick a person who does primarily or does lots and lots of real estate. Right. Because for a couple of reasons. One, we're more in tune to communicate it on that basis. We're designed, our whole business plan is designed to treat people and communicate with them. Right. Secondly, the people, your brother's uncle's father, who's an attorney, he just doesn't do it. He's not so in tune with the times, both from a regulatory and from a process standpoint. We order the abstract right away. Most of the real estate attorneys we deal with
will do that same thing.
But historically, outside of this group of real estate lawyers that do this, you wait until you get the commitment letter.
Wow.
And sometimes that commitment to the contract closing date is such a short window.
And you're not going to close it. And it's really fascinating. Sometimes we call them up and say, hey, where's the abstract and stuff? Look at, I don't have a commitment yet. You're kind of like, really crazy. crazy? We're closing in 2.5 weeks.
I find and more frequently you find that they don't order the survey map, and unfortunately the surveyors are not, and we have great surveyors, but they don't work as fast as everything, you know. Then you're waiting for a survey map.
And we find that a lot of real estate attorneys you guys know, or other real estate attorneys that we work with, they know each other, and they have a good line of communication where they're paralegal, and that
you got their cell phone number.
Yeah.
We deal with them enough, you know, and we don't abuse it, but I got it when I need it. You know?
Send them funny gifs.
Yeah.
Or gifs or whatever they're called.
I don't know. I say it different every time.
I switch it every time. And then talk to me a little bit about how when I'm a buyer and I'm working with a bank, and how can because I know that they can save some money by using the same attorney as the bank. Is that something that's a good idea? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, we do recommend it.
Okay.
There's very few places of actual conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's interested in the same thing. The
Closing.
buyer wants to buy the house. I want you to buy the house. The bank wants to lend you the money. You want to borrow the money. I mean, pretty much everybody's on the same page. The idea that there's a real conflict has only happened to me once or twice in like 30 years.
Okay.
I mean, it's very, very rare that an actual conflict, because most of the bank's decisions are really secondary market decisions anyway. It's not going to change from bank to bank. It's going to be the same answer. I mean, if you don't make enough money, it's usually you don't make enough money. You can't go to a different bank and all of a sudden they're going to look at you differently. It's pretty much the same result in most places. The other thing is we do, and I will say this out loud, we do reduce our fee when we represent the buyer and the bank. We actually reduce the buyer's fee. And that is not an attempt to steer the transactions in any direction. The fact is that it is much more efficient for us.
Yeah.
It's just, we don't have to leave. I don't have to leave my office.
Everything is under one.
Right. Yeah. And so we believe in trying to charge a fair fee for a fair amount of work.
Yeah.
And it actually is a more efficient process.
Correct.
So we don't have to put as much time into it, and therefore we reflect that to reducing our fee for the borrower. I mean, it really is real.
That makes sense.
It's not an attempt.
Do we have a question?
No, it says, I know him. He may have not gotten on House Hunters, but this is right.
So Joe he was our House Hunters.
Oh, I
wanted to get on this episode.
Oh, man, you didn't let me on House Hunters.
So our last House Hunter episode, yes, Joe was on, and David was their attorney, and David was really upset that he didn't get a moment of fame on.
Trimmed my mustache and everything.
He was ready. He was ready.
Let me on. Okay.
I told him he's got to buy a house, and we'll go on House Hunters.
Oh my gosh,
Trim my mustache. Yeah, he said hey. Yes.
Okay.
You're right, Joe.
That's so funny.
All right, cool. Well, I think that's a wrap on everything. Did you guys have anything else important to add? I think we covered everything. All right, awesome.
I think we did. In like how long?
31 minutes. Perfect.
We don't even need a do we have commercials? Commercials?
One moment. We should. We don't. All right, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Friday with Friends. If you're watching after, definitely comment down below. #replay. Ask any questions that you have. We'll definitely get right back to you. And of course, if you, your friends, family have any real estate needs, we'd love to help. You can find us at friendonyourside.com. And we've also tagged David and Heather and their office in our little comment section. So check them out.
Thank you for having us.
And we really do appreciate that.
We appreciate you guys. Let us know if you have any questions. I know, we have fun.
How you're smiling in there.
Heather's never been happier.
I do this all the time. I know.
You're going to be great.
I was on the Ellen Show. No big deal. That's a real thing.
We'll talk about that later. She's famous. All right, bye guys.
Bye.